Hey guys, welcome back to the Unreal Engine 4 tutorial. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to do another jump scare. So in this one, it's going to be when we look at a window, a ghost is going to appear. So this is only going to happen when the player is looking at the window, the ghost will appear, do whatever you want it to do, and then disappear again. So let me show you what this is going to look like now. So you can see we're in the game here. I'm going to walk forwards. Now if I look at the window, you can see that the ghost is going to appear. You see the ghost has appeared there. We've got the jump scare, we've got a light flickering, and the ghost was in the window. And now this is all customizable. You don't have to have the jump scare sound effect. You don't have to have the flickering light. That was just me doing that to make it stand out more. You don't have to be this far away. You can be closer. It doesn't have to be in that window. It's completely customizable for you. This is basically just, we're going to look at a window, an event is going to fire off. So I'll show you again. When we look at this window, something will fire off. And what we have currently is this ghost. So when I look at the window, you see there, that's what happened. So now you see I was kind of looking around quite a bit there. So what we could do is just make it bigger. So make the area around it bigger that you can look at. So again, I'm showing you how to do this now. So let me delete this code and then I'll show you how I've done this. And so before we get into it, I should also say that I'm going to be leaving download links to the jump scare sound effect, to the clown mesh which I'm using, the animations I'm using, and then also this map which is here. So this is using the Epic Games Edith Finch house grounds which they put up on the Unreal Marketplace for free, so you can use all this good stuff as well. So again, there'll be links to all of this in the description down below. But once you've got all that, what we're going to do is we want to firstly create our ghost blueprint, or just your ghost AI, your clown, whatever it is that you have spawning in the window. So I'm going to do this in a new folder I've made called clown, and you can see I've already got the animations and skeletal mesh already imported in. So import all of that, and then what we're going to do is we're going to right click, get a blueprint class, and we're going to make this one an actor. Now you can make this a pawn if you want, but I'm not actually going to make this an AI. This is just going to be something which is simply there and then disappearing. So blueprint actor is fine for me. I'm just going to name this one clown JS for jump scare. I'm going to open it up straight away. In here, I'm going to hit the add component, and I'm going to add a skeletal mesh, like so. And then the skeletal mesh of this is obviously going to be my clown mesh, which I have here. So you see like that. And under the animation, I just want this to have an idle animation, so I'm just going to go on animation mode, use animation asset, and the anim to play, I'm just going to have as this breathing idle here. And so this is just what the clown is going to look like in the window. So what I want to do next is I want to add some lights in here. So again, these are going to be for just highlighting the character here. So if you don't want to do that, you don't need to. I just found that on this particular map anyway, it was kind of hard to see the ghost, or the clown, sorry. So I added these lights, just made it a little bit better, added that little extra effect on it. So to do that, I'm going to compile and minimize this. And I'm going to find the window in which I want to place this clown in. So for me, that's going to be up here. You can see this is all we have on the inside, as this is purely just for show off and for decoration. This isn't a functional house. So what I'm going to do is I have this window here. All I'm going to do is simply just drag and drop this clown in here and have him facing the window there. So he's going to be facing the window, looking right out of it like that. So I can look, and I think that looks good. I might move him over just a little bit, but I think that looks good for me with the clown there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select him again like that. And then if we open up our clown blueprint here again, what we're going to do is we're going to add in these lights. So to do that, we're going to go to add component, and we're going to add a spotlight. So we can get a spotlight like so. This we can leave the name as that. And all I'm going to do is just position this to be in front of the clown and facing the clown like this. And now if we just make this a little bit smaller, we can see what this is going to look like in a level. So I'm just going to position this to where I want it to be. So I think somewhere around there is going to be good. And I might just up the intensity a bit as well. And that is what that's going to look like on the outside. So this is where the light is on the outside. Again, you don't need this. This is just to make it look a bit clearer. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add one final light. So I'm going to add another one. So I'm going to move the camera inside now. And then I'll just duplicate this light down. And this one is just going to be underneath just a little bit, pointing directly up at the clown like this. So this might be a bit fiddly for you. Just got to get it to perfect where you want. So again, this is just to illuminate him a little bit more. What I might do is just move him back a bit, just so it's a little bit easier to see to start with. So what you might find is you want to change the attenuation radius, all of this stuff, and up the intensity a bit as well, just to make it look a bit better. So I think this is looking a lot better now. So I think that's going to be good. So if I just then minimize this completely and move him back into place, this should be good. So like I say, I think this is now good. So this is what I want it to be like. maybe just move it forward a little bit more, like so. And this is what it's going to look like when it spawns in. The clown is going to spawn here. So maybe I'll move it over just a little bit more to the right. So I think that's going to be good for me. So now if we go back into our blueprint here, what we want to do is on this light here, so the one pointing towards the clown, on the outside, what we want to do is we just want to untick visible. So by default, this light isn't going to be on, so it look like this. The other components we don't need to worry about at the moment. Then, after this, what we're going to do is we're going to go over to the event graph. In here, we're going to start creating some code. So I'm going to delete all these events here, as I'm going to be doing these off of custom events. That way, it's just a lot cleaner and easier for us to use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click, and I'm going to add custom event like so. And then we're going to name this one show clown. So by default, we want it to be hidden, which we'll do in a second. So then obviously we want to show the clown when the player is looking at the window. So to do that, all we need to do is come off of this. And we're going to set actor hidden in game. And we're going to leave new hidden as false. So unticked, so it's not hidden. Therefore we can see it. Then to hide it, what we're going to do is we're going to right click, add another custom event, and call this one hide clown. And then out of this, I'm going to again set actor hidden in game, except this time we're going to tick new hidden, so therefore it is hidden and we can't see it anymore. And the target can stay as self, as obviously it's going to be this clown blueprint. You can compile and save that, and that is how we're going to show and hide the clown when we are looking and not looking at the window. So then something I'm going to do is, you see here I have this light on the outside. What I want to do is I just want that to flicker when the ghost or the clown spawns. So again, this is customizable, this is optional. You don't need to do this, but I'm going to, and I'm going to use the values which I made earlier when I was creating this code for the first time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and again add another custom event. This one I'm going to call flicker light, like so. And now even if you don't think you're going to use this, it might be worth making it anyway, just in case you decide later on that you want to use it. You now just have it, because obviously we're doing this in custom events, so you don't need to use these. These are just here, so if you want to, you have them. So what we're going to do is, this one's just spotlight, I believe. So if we go to the viewport to check, no, it's spotlight 1. So let me just rename this outside light, just so I know which one's which. Go to the event graph. What I'm going to do is drag a reference to that from the top left, so drag and drop that in there for the outside light reference. And out of this, I'm just going to set visibility. So you know that we set the visibility to be false by default, so we can't see it. Here, we're going to set it to true. So now this is going to turn on the light. So if you just want to turn on the light, you don't want to flicker it, you can do this as well. This is just turning it on. And turning off, you obviously just untick that. But I want to flicker it, so I'm going to hold down D, left click to get a delay, plugging that in there. The duration of this, I'm going to have is 0.5 seconds. After this, I'm going to again set the visibility, so I can just duplicate that over there with the target going back into the outside light there. I'm now going to untick new visibility, so it's turning it off again. Then what I can do is I can just select the delay and the set visibility and duplicate those over again. The delay this time I'm going to set to 0.3, just so it's slightly different, so it doesn't look too repeated. I'm going to tick the visibility. Then Control V to duplicate again. This time the delay is going to be 0.4 with the new visibility left is unticked. And then I'll do this 2 more times, so Control V again, just to flicker this 1 more time. And then this one is going to be 0.3 for the duration, and the new visibility will be ticked. This is then going to leave it on. So I'm going to duplicate this 1 final time, putting that in there. The delay this time I'm going to have is 2. So this is how long the ghost or the clown is going to be there for. So we've got 2 seconds where the clown is there. Then we'll leave this one unchecked, so the light is going to go off again at the end. So what this is going to do is it's simply just going to turn the light on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, and turn it off again. So it's going to flicker and then stay on for as long as we need and turn off 1 final time. So that's perfect like so. Then what we're going to do is we're just going to put these elements together. So we have showing and hiding the clown and flickering the light. So let's put these together. So what we're going to do is going to come down here, right click, add another custom event. And I'm just going to call this one window jumpscare or play jumpscare or anything like that. And this is where you can put all these together. So if you don't want the flicker light, you don't have to use it. So what I'm going to do is out of the window jumpscare, I'm going to call function show clown. Actually, I'll play a sound first, so let me delete that. I'll come out of this and I'll play sound 2D. This is going to be my jump scare sound effect, which again is linked in the description down below. I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to set the start time to 0.4. That's not a requirement you need to do, that's just because of the specific sound I'm using has a slight gap at the start of 0.4 seconds where nothing's happening, so I'm just going to start at 0.4 to cut that out completely. So that works perfectly. Then out of this, I'm going to call function show clown, so that's going to play the sound effect, and the clown will then appear in the window. After this, I'm going to call function flicker light, which is then going to also flicker light to grab the player's attention to make them look there. And then I'm going to get a delay, so hold down D left click to get a delay. And this is going to basically be how long the ghost is here for. So you see here I set this to 2 seconds. What I want to do is we want to add all these delays together, which again I figured out earlier was 3.5 seconds. So the clown is going to be the window for 3.5 seconds, because that's how long the light's on for. You can customize that to be however you like as well. After completed, we're just going to call function hide clown. So what we're doing is we're putting all these elements together. So we're playing a sound effect, we're showing the clown, we're flickering the light, and after 3.5 seconds, the clown's going to be hidden again, so it's disappeared. And so that is all the code we need to do in the clown itself. So we can compile and save that. Let's also make sure that we connect the targets of these set visibilities into the light as well, otherwise it doesn't know what it's setting it for. So make sure to do that, that's a very important step. Once you have, now you can compile and save. Let me do this one final one here, and compile and save, and like I say, that's the code in the ghost done itself. We're going to come back here later, but there's no more code. So then the next bit of code we want to do is in the character blueprint. So we're going to minimize this. Mine is the third person character. So for me, that's content, third person BP, blueprints, third person character. And then we're just going to find some empty space. So I'll go down here. What we're going to do in here is we're going to do a line trace. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and add another custom event like so. And I'm just going to name this line trace for window, or just line trace, anything like that. This is just so specifically looking for the window. Then what I want to do is out of this, I'm going to line trace by channel, like so. So line trace by channel. The start, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the camera, so you can drag and drop the camera in, get that, and we're going to get world location. The world location is going to go into the start. So what's happening is it's going to be starting drawing this line, which is a line trace. We're basically drawing a line from the camera. So it's going to start this line at the player's camera. The end of it, we just want to go in a straight line out of the camera. So to do that, we're going to come out of the follow camera and get forward vector. Out of this return value, what we're going to do is going to get a multiply. So if vector multiplied by a float, and this float value here is basically how long you want this to be. So I'm going to set it to be about 5,000 as the player is kind of far away from the building, but that's also quite a high number. So you can set this to be whatever you want, depending on how far away the player is, or how far away you want the player to be. So customize this to get it perfect for you. What you can do is you can change the draw debug type to for duration there, and then you can see where the line trace is going, how far it's reaching out, so you can customize it better for you. Out of the return value of this, we're going to get a vector plus a vector, and we're going to add it to the world location. That is then going to go to the end. And the reason we're adding them together is just to keep this going in a straight line. So that's the line trace done. That's the basic part of us drawing the line. We need to do some stuff after it, but this is how you draw a line in a line trace. So because it's for duration, we're going to see where this is going. So if I just right click and get event tick, and then plug that into the line trace there, we can actually see this line trace working. So if I minimize and hit play, what we can see is we have these red lines here. These are line traces, and you can see they have this black square at the bottom. That's because they are colliding with something. So you can see these are going to be going all the way up to the house and reaching the house like so. They don't reach all the way up there, as that's how long I've set them for. So again, this is a good way to test it. So I think for me, 5,000 is a pretty good value. So let's go back in the code and finish this off. So I'm going to delete this event tick and change the for duration back to none, as that is just for testing. Then after this, what we're going to do is we're going to hold down B and left click to get a branch, plugging the condition of that into the return value of the line trace. So this is just basically saying if we hit something. Out of the out hit, we're going to break hit result. We're going to open that up like so. The hit actor, we're going to come up with that, and we're going to cast to our clown.js, basically the blueprint we've just made. So what this is going to do is if we hit something, it's basically just going to check to see if it is our clown. If it is, perfect. If it's not, then obviously we don't want to do anything. So it's just seeing what the player is looking at. So if it is the clown, perfect. So what we're going to do is as clown.js, we're going to call function window jumpscare. So you see we put them all together and now we're calling it there. If it isn't the clown, it's going to come out cast failed. So what we want to do is we just want to loop this line trace. So we're going to be constantly searching for this clown until the player looks at it. So what we can do then is just hold down D left click to get a delay and set the duration to something very, very small like 0.001, plugging that into the cast failed and the false of this branch. So basically, if the line trace doesn't hit anything, or it does, but it isn't the clown, it's going to do it again. So after completed, we're just going to call function line trace for window. And that is then going to loop this until we find what we are looking for, like so. And now that is that code done, working perfectly. So we can compile and save that. And now, one final thing we want to do to make sure that this actually hits the clown, we're going to go back into our clown blueprint here, and go to the viewport. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a component. I'm going to add a plane. This plane I'm going to name as line trace catcher, as that makes the most sense to me. And this is simply as it sounds, it's going to make sure that the player can have something to collide with for their line trace. So I'm going to rotate that 90 degrees there. And I'm just going to move this up and scale this up as well. So like I say, this is just somewhere in which the player can look at. So I'm going to go in here to see how big that is. So I think that's good. So this is basically the area in which if the player looks at this plane, the jump scare is going to play. So get this to the size that you want, but I think this is a good size for me, maybe a little bit bigger, but customize it perfectly for you. So we can close that. So we can go back in here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set this to be not visible and hidden in game, so therefore we can't see it. So we're going to compile and save. You don't want to mess with the collision, as you want to keep that as it is. So now this is basically working, except there's one more thing, is we need to actually call this function to start with. So we could just do it off event tick, so it's constantly doing it off of event begin play, but that's not the most efficient. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this in a box trigger. So if we minimize this, what I want to happen is when the player reaches this area, so I didn't delete the box trigger earlier, but I'll get rid of it in a minute. When the player reaches this area, it's then going to start firing off to check to see if they're looking at the clown. So to do that, all we're going to do is just get in a box trigger. So I'll delete this one here, and we're going to drag in a box trigger from the top left up here, and just scale this up to the size you want it to be, and put it in the position you want it to be in as well. So again, this is basically the area that the player is going to walk through in order for them to then start checking to see if they are looking at the window. So put this as close or as far away from the window as you want. So once you've got it in place there, what we're going to do is we're going to go to blueprints, open level blueprint, making sure we still have that box trigger selected. If we do, we're going to right click in the level blueprint and get a begin overlap. So add on actor, begin overlap, like so. The other actor, we're going to cast to our character. So for me, that's the third person character, like so. And this is just to make sure that it is our character and our player which is overlapping this box trigger. And if it is, we're going to come out of as third person character, and we're going to call function line trace for window, plugging that in there like so. And now that is the code all completely done. So we compile and save, minimize, and let's hit play to test this and see if it works. So you can see if I then walk into this box trigger, nothing's happened, but the line trace should be firing off. So now if we look at the window, the jump scare has now fired off. That works perfectly. So you see we had the flickering light, we had the jump scare sound effect, and the ghost was there as well. The clown, isn't too visible, but that's purely just because of the other conditions I have here. So it's kind of far away in a small window on the top floor. So obviously you can customize this to get it looking a lot better for you. But if I test this again, you can see that the ghost is actually there. So why is that? We made the function to hide the ghost, but we didn't actually call it. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up our ghost blueprint again, and then off of event begin play, so back in the event graph here, we're just going to get event begin play. Actually, we don't need to do this, sorry. What we can do is we can just select clown.js self up in the top left here. We're going to scroll down until we find hidden in game. I'm just going to tick actor hidden in game. Compile and save. Now this should work better. So you can see that it's there. If we hit play, the clown is not there in the window anymore. So it's not there by default. If we then stop walking forwards and we look into the window, you can see we now have this jump scare here. So the light is flickering and the ghost is in the window perfectly like so. So this works great. So I think that'll be it for this video. We've done everything we've wanted to do. We've created a jump scare in which when you look at a certain window, a clown or anything or a ghost is going to appear in that window with a jump scare sound effect, flickering lights. It's going to appear and disappear how we want. And like I say, this only works when we are looking at the window. And again, this is completely customizable for you. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed and I hope you found it helpful. And if you did, make sure to like and subscribe down below. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.